My name is Rebecca. I'm 55 years old. And I don't recognize myself anymore. That's the part that scares me, not the wrinkles or the weight gain or the quiet moments I used to fill with laughter. It's this slow vanishing of the woman I used to be. Once, I was soft but electric. Our love used to feel like a spark catching fire, steady, hot, a little dangerous in the best way. I used to come alive just at the sound of Michael's footsteps coming up the stairs. We'd kiss in the middle of a crowded room and forget where we were. But now? Now his kisses land on my cheek like mail delivered to the wrong address. Still regular, still expected, but never quite meant for me. We still hold hands at dinner sometimes. He still reaches for me in bed, gently, even lovingly. But I've noticed how my body stiffens before he even touches me. How the kisses he presses on my shoulder in the morning feel more like rituals than desire. The last time we danced was New Year's Eve. He spun me in the kitchen like he used to. I laughed, reflexively. He kissed me. It should have been sweet. But his lips were dry. His hands trembled, just slightly. The music felt too fast. And that's when it hit me. It wasn't the first cold kiss. It wasn't the fading compliments or the way we always sit on opposite sides of the couch now. It was that dance. That clumsy, loving little dance, and how wrong it felt. That was the moment I realized something between us had shifted. And I didn't know how to shift it back. Michael's a nurse, has been for over 20 years. Steady, dependable, the kind of man who carries other people's pain without letting it show. He was always the one holding me up. Through the miscarriage. Through my mother's cancer. Through layoffs, house repairs, teenage heartbreaks from our daughter. He never buckled. But now I wonder if maybe I never let him. Last Tuesday, he brought home takeout from my favorite place, a tiny Indian restaurant 2 towns over. He walked in the door with that proud little grin, like he'd saved the night. I was folding laundry, lost in thought, already drained from the day. He came up behind me, wrapped his arms around my waist. I froze. Not because I didn't love him. Because I wasn't ready for that kind of touch. I needed him to ask how I was doing. I needed him to see me, not just reach for me like muscle memory. "You okay?" he asked, planting a kiss behind my ear. I nodded. Lied. He set the food on the counter, pulled out plates, humming under his breath like nothing had just passed between us, like my body hadn't gone rigid in his arms. Later, when we sat to eat, he reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I squeezed back, too tight. Too late. Tonight, Michael came home early. He looked tired, his scrub still smelled faintly of antiseptic and that strange metallic hospital air. He dropped his bag, kissed my cheek, and smacked my butt playfully like he used to. I flinched. Not dramatically. Just enough for him to notice. "You okay?" he asked again, that same old question. And I gave him the same old answer, "Yeah. Just tired." He nodded, but I could feel him wondering. Later, in bed, he reached for me. It was gentle, familiar, the way his fingertips brushed my arm, the way he tucked my hair behind my ear, kissed the top of my shoulder. But I was stiff beneath his touch. My eyes were open in the dark. I felt my breath catch, not in pleasure, but in panic. He kissed me. Softly. Slowly. I kissed back because I thought I should. Because I missed him, because I missed us, but also because I didn't know how to say no without hurting him. And still, I felt nothing. My mind wandered to dishes in the sink. To emails I forgot to answer. To the woman I was 10 years ago, who would have melted into this moment. But that woman is buried somewhere under too many quiet nights and too many unspoken disappointments. He pressed his forehead to mine. "You sure you're okay?" I pulled the blanket up between us like a shield. "Yeah. Just tired." Inside, I was screaming. Why does everything have to turn into sex? Why can't he just see me first? It happened on a Thursday. We were sitting across from each other at the dinner table, the quiet between us loud and scraping. He had made pasta. Lit a candle. He was trying. And I hated that I resented it. He poured me a glass of wine and smiled like it was still easy. Like I was still easy. I wasn't. You look nice tonight, he said. I looked down at my wrinkled blouse, the one I only wore when everything else was in the wash. Thanks, I murmured, stabbing at the overcooked noodles. He reached across the table and placed his hand over mine. Claire, talk to me. The sound of my name cracked something open. About what, Michael? About how we pretend? About how I've become someone who doesn't even know how to be in her own skin anymore? His eyes widened. Where's this coming from? I stood up, pushing my chair back too fast. From everywhere, Michael. From you kissing me like it's a habit. From the way you reach for me without knowing if I want to be touched. From me feeling like I owe you intimacy when I don't even know who I am anymore. He stood too, hands up, confused. I'm trying, Claire. I cook, I clean, I ask you how you're feeling. You ask, I snapped, my voice shaking now, but you don't listen. You want sex when I need softness. You want closeness when I'm barely holding myself together. And then the tears came. Hot and fast and humiliating. I don't feel safe in my own body anymore, I whispered. And I hate that you don't notice. He stood there, silent. Hurt. His jaw tightened, and I could see it, that male instinct to fix it, to do something, to reach for me. But he didn't. He just stood there, arms by his side, and let the distance settle like dust between us. And for the first time I saw it clearly, I wasn't just tired. I was breaking. And he was still trying to love a version of me that no longer existed. We didn't talk much after that night. Michael slept on the couch for 3 days. Not in anger, but like he was giving me space, or maybe protecting himself. I could hear him shifting in the middle of the night, clearing his throat quietly, turning the TV down low like he didn't want to wake me. I missed him. God, I missed him. But I also felt like I was watching our marriage through a fogged window, barely able to see it clearly, but still close enough to feel the outline of what it used to be. He stopped reaching for me. That was the part that broke me the most. Every other night for years, his hand would find my hip beneath the blankets. Even in silence. Even in anger. A small ritual of connection. But not anymore. He'd come into the room to grab a shirt or plug in his phone and barely make eye contact. Not cold. Just careful. One night, I found him standing in the kitchen, staring out the window. I watched him from the hallway. His shoulders were slouched. His chest looked heavier. That's when it hit me, he wasn't the villain. He was hurting, too. He just didn't know what to do with my unraveling. He loved me the only way he knew how, through action. Through touch. Through presence. But I'd needed words. Stillness. Understanding. I kept thinking I'd reach for him, that I'd pull him back into bed, apologize, kiss his hands and say, I'm trying. But I didn't. And neither did he. The silence turned into days. The days turned into small, aching routines, takeout containers, separate blankets, half-finished conversations. And still, I missed him. I missed his laugh, the way he always remembered to warm my coffee mug before pouring. I missed the weight of his hand on my back when we walked through crowds. I missed us. And somewhere between guilt and grief, I started to wonder if it was too late to find our way back. Or if letting go might be the kindest thing I could do for both of us. It happened quietly. Not with a grand apology or some desperate gesture. It started with a cup of tea. One night, I came downstairs after another restless sleep. The kitchen light was on. Michael was at the counter, barefoot, hair messy, making himself chamomile like he always did when he couldn't sleep. He didn't say anything when he saw me. Just grabbed another mug, poured water, and slid the cup toward me. It was the first time we'd stood that close in days. I held the mug in both hands, just for the warmth. "Thank you," I said. My voice cracked on the second syllable. He nodded. Then looked at me. Really looked. Not with pity. Not with confusion. Just softness. "I don't know how to fix this," he said quietly. I let the silence sit for a moment before answering. "I don't think it's about fixing," I whispered. "It's about seeing." His eyes glistened. I thought I was. I thought. If I just kept loving you the way I always had, it would be enough. "I changed," I said, tears rising before I could stop them. "And I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't even know how to tell myself." He reached across the counter, slowly, like I might flinch again. I didn't. His hand wrapped around mine. No pressure. No expectation. Just there. "I never thought you were weak, Claire," he said, voice shaking. "But I should have known when you needed me to be strong in a different way." That broke me. I stepped around the counter and into his arms, and this time I didn't freeze. It wasn't a kiss or a promise or some sweeping reunion. Just a long, aching embrace, the kind that says, "I still want to try." He didn't carry me back to bed. He just stood with me, held me, and let me cry into his shoulder. And for the first time in months, I felt held. Not as a wife. Not as a body. But as me. I used to think weakness was something to be ashamed of. Something you cover up with lipstick and laughter, something you bury under productivity and politeness. But now I see it differently. Weakness, for me, wasn't crying in the shower or pulling away when he touched me. It wasn't the empty stare I gave the mirror or the 1,000 tiny silences I let stack between us like bricks. It was pretending I didn't need anything. It was pushing him away because I was too proud, or too scared, to say, "I don't feel like myself anymore." Michael, he loved me in the only language he knew. Through doing. Through touching. Through showing up. And I didn't realize, not really, how much strength it took for him to keep loving a woman who kept closing the door just a little more every day. He never gave up on me, not in the loud ways. He never yelled. Never accused. He just kept bringing tea. Kept offering his arms, even when I didn't reach back. He held steady when I was drifting. And maybe that's what strength really is, loving someone gently, patiently, while they figure out how to come back to themselves. We're not fixed. I'm not sure couples like us ever are. We still have nights where I flinch, and he falls silent. We still miss each other in the dark sometimes. But now we talk. We sit with the discomfort. We name the things we once shoved under the rug. And when he touches me now, not to claim me, but to connect, I let myself feel it. Even if it hurts. Even if it's awkward. Because I want to choose him again. And I want to believe that maybe, just maybe, he was never trying to fix me. He was just standing still, being strong, until I was ready to return to myself. And to us. I was weak. But he was strong enough for both of us. And that saved me.